Hello and welcome back to the National Parents Union. I am Kelly Williams-Bollard and I'm so excited and so happy that you all are tuned in tonight. And of course, this is The Parent Effect. I have a wonderful guest who is from New York, and I'm going to read his bio before I present him. His name is Tyree Lane. He is a Brooklyn native who is passionate about community and youth development. For the last 8 years, Tyree has consistently served his community by investing in the youth through social and educational programs. In 2018, he completed his master's in divinity, with a focus in urban diversity, equity, and inclusion. And the 8th grade team lead in 2020, Tyree and 4 other educators founded Educators for Justice, Inc., where he now serves as executive director. It is with deep commitment to education and a passion to serve in his community that Tyree continues to be a catalyst for change in the education sector. Tyree, are you there? I'm so excited. Oh, hey, how
Hello.
are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm happy. I'm just so excited, and I'm just so honored that you decided to come on the National Parents Union and talk about what you're doing now. So tell the people, I'm just excited to get started, So how have you been?
I've been really good. I've been blessed. I've been really in a lot of transition right now in my life, but really extremely grateful for all the opportunities and just life and joy and peace. So there's a lot of stuff happening around in our society, in the world. There's a lot of loss. There's a lot of heartache, of pain. However, internally there's peace that I have. So I've been.
That's big. That is big.
Yeah.
Have to have it internally,
Yeah, internal peace. Yeah.
So tell me, Tyree. Now you're an educator, and was it 8th grade? Did I read that right?
I'm an 8th grade educator. Yes.
Okay.
I serve at a, and I said work, but I switched it to serve because I really see education as a field where we serve our community, where
Absolutely.
we serve our community, but we serve directly. We're impacting our youth. We're impacting the families. And even the community and the people that are around the school. As an educator, you have the ability to really impact your community in a direct way. And sometimes you don't see the fruits of your labor where you're serving at until 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 20 years later. You see the result of who your kids turn out to be and the impact that they have when you begin to see them become parents, all right? Which I've been able to see a couple of my first students have children at this point.
Wow.
I was working at the high school level. And so it's, I work at 8th grade. I teach ELA, writing specifically, at an all boys charter school called Excellence Boys in Brooklyn, New York.
Wow. That is awesome. An all boys school.
Yeah. It's
That's
actually the
very
first
unique.
all boys school in the nation, all boys charter school. So that's the beautiful thing. I get to be a part of history and see so many things unfolding before our very eyes, and to know that this was one of the first ones created, joy in my heart.
Being that you said that, so a couple years back, I was invited. Do you know who Dr. Steve Perry is? Would you know that name?
I am not familiar with that name, no.
Okay, I know you know who P. Diddy is.
Yes.
So they came together and they created some schools somewhere, I believe, up in New York area.
In Harlem, yeah, in Harlem.
Okay, but I had visited one of the schools. It was up even further. It was like almost in Connecticut area, I do believe.
Okay.
This is when it first started. This is before he collabed with P. Diddy. But Dr. Steve Perry was doing so. I think it was and I'm just saying that because I believe it was an all boys school, and it was so different, so unique, and it was pretty cool. Because like you said, you don't see that too often. That needs to be across the nation.
Yeah, and I think it's a really interesting experience, right? We really get to teach and to challenge, like kind of come up against the issue, especially our school is predominantly Black and brown boys. You really get to come up against and challenge a lot of by recreating the narrative about young Black men, right? And dismantling the systems that are in place that are purposely trying to oppress our young boys. So it's no secret. I work at a charter school, and there's a lot charter schools right now are under a lot of heat, right? There's a lot of pushback about policing of students, the way in which kids are treated or spoken to, and the style in which they're being taught. However, one of the things I love about where I work is that I get the opportunity to really focus in on my specialty, working with my kids. And yes, I teach them academics, and we really push them into understanding things with the specialized tests and things of that nature. But however, I love the aspect that I get to have with the one-on-one connection and community building with my students.
Yes.
That's the beautiful thing about it.
And because you're a Black male man, and these kids are looking to you for some form of guidance. And that's so powerful because, you know, when I see the kids, oh my gosh, when I see, you know, I think I told you that I work in a high school. I work with students and the boys, they're yearning. They need that Black male figure. They need a male figure, but they definitely need somebody who looks like and represents them.
Yeah. And that's kind of been one of my strong suits. Growing up in Brooklyn, New York, growing up in East New York and Crown Heights and Bedford-Stuyvesant, kind of being in all three of those areas as a child, I was able to really see the experiences that some of our kids are experiencing right now and live through it. Now it's much different, right? Because it wasn't social media around when I was in 8th grade, but the friendship dynamics and the social issues and the pressure that you may experience as a teenager, especially as a young Black man, I was able to experience that and understand that. Growing up in a single parent home, some of my students grew up in those situations. I'm really excited to see that a lot of my students are growing up at this point in my career. I see a lot of students whose fathers are extremely active. So right there, I see the stereotype or the notion that Black men are not involved in their child's lives. I'm like, that's not true. Actually, I'm seeing it in droves. I'm seeing so many
every day
powerful Black men have stepped up to the plate fully all the way and are raising their sons and training them and grooming them to be young, powerful, future leaders in our society. So these are some of the things
that's beautiful.
And I love it.
I know you do. You're up there in New York. I love New York. I don't hear your accent. You don't have a heavy accent.
You know what? I think when I get mad, I have an accent.
It come out then.
Yeah, it comes out then. But however, you know, I've always been told I didn't really have much of a New York accent. However, but I do hear yours a little bit. Ohio, I hear it.
I know. I hate that though, because Ohio is corny. It's not like New York or the Bronx, you know. This is Ohio.
Oh my, no.
So it has I hear, like, sometimes I hear it's a little bit of a Southern draw, Ohio, you know, so who knows?
It's right there. It's further south than, I actually, I've done a lot of I worked with some students from Ohio. Several years ago, I worked in an organization called Young Life, and we used to do a basketball camp, or we did basketball camp at Erie, Pennsylvania. And so a lot of students would come over from Ohio, from Akron, Cleveland. So we would have some of the young men and young women that I've met from there have been from this phenomenal and really gifted as well.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, we do got some pretty good purebreds coming out of here. I mean, they, you know, like for real, like a lot of them, you know, they're great in sports and they become champions. You know, they excel in anything, not just basketball or football. Like I think that our children, if they get access, an opportunity to anything, they excel beyond. And sometimes it makes you wonder, is that the threat?
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? That must be
Yeah.
that must be a threat, because give us an opportunity, give us a chance to excel and achieve all the things that we can be. And man, you about to create a whole nother, like you said, you got all these young men and their dads are involved. So imagine these are junior high going into high school kids. So imagine where they're going to be 10 years from now when they're in their early 20s to mid 20s. They're going to lead. They're going to help lead this nation. And that's what we need.
Yeah.
I personally believe that why wouldn't you want our children to be educated? Then you don't have to worry about nobody trying to rob you. Like, you see what I'm saying? Like, it makes no sense to me that you would try to keep them down in so many ways.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. I think some of the things that you're hitting on of the systemic implications that comes into how society, in some way, shape, or form, that there's systems that are in place that are designed to make it difficult to receive a fair and equitable education, right? And so these things that are created, we're dismantling step by step as much as we can. Myself and several other educators, I know plenty of them, who are literally taking personal vendetta against the school to prison pipeline, right?
Yeah.
It's just so systemically wrong. Actually, it does so much damage to young and Black, brown boys and girls in our country that we have so much to fight against. And the best way to do that is really just to begin to teach and educate our children to be critical thinkers, to think critically, to ask the right questions, and not just to be a number or just think about, I'm gonna get a high score on my test. I don't care if you get a high score on your test. If you don't know how to think critically, if you don't know what it means to use your voice to advocate and to challenge systems, then I'm failing you as a teacher. And so that's another beautiful thing that I get to do as an educator, is push and challenge my students to speak up, to advocate, to ask questions, to give them opportunity to express themselves. And there are moments where sometimes the lesson just kind of goes out the window, and there's a lesson about life, or there's a lesson about this moment, or there's a lesson about who we are as human beings, no matter what our race, no matter what our gender, no matter what our identity markers are. There is a point in time where we must come together to be aware of what's happening in our world and how we can speak up against the injustices all around. Dr. King said, injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. And so
that's right.
We need to impact our kids. We need to teach them and push them and encourage them to be aware individuals.
Woo, you talking status quo. That's right. That's right. That's what's happening right now. That's real talk. And you're right, we do it too. Like especially, when we were actually in the classroom, we would just stop, especially our male teachers. I've been working in the school system. I'm a paraprofessional, and I work with special ed kids, the ones with basically who have behaviors. And I noticed, and what I noticed for certain is the Black male teachers will sometimes say, yo, okay, you know what, this period is going out the door. We're just going to talk. Because the kids come in and maybe they're having whatever issues they're having, and it's as soon as the bell rings, they're head down, non-compliant, don't want to respond, leave me alone, just all those kind of things. And so now we gotta dig deeper, and we gotta figure out what's going on. They don't have to tell us why they feel the way, but we gotta let them know, like, even our stories. Like, I'll go and I'll tell them my story, but I like that. And I noticed that more right now. I'm with a female teacher. She's awesome too. She's great. But I don't see that like I do when I work with male teachers. They go in deeper on Black male teachers. They go in deeper on a more emotional level with the kids. It's like they just naturally identify with them because they were young and, boys too,
Yeah. And so I think, and that's the aspect of it that I enjoy. You really get, I say this to people, and this used to be a mantra from my old job. Kids don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And if you're not authentic, if you're not true to who you are as an individual and within yourself. Today I did a words of inspiration for my kids, and the words of inspiration, they were as follows. It says, don't change yourself so people could like you. Be your real self and the right people will love you. Right? And so if we're pushing our kids in this direction to be authentic and be truthful, we ourselves have to be that. And there's a level of transparency that all of our kids need to be aware of and who we are, because kids can smell fakeness a mile away.
Yes, they can.
I just know this for sure, especially kids who grew up in the inner city and inner city communities. They are aware. They have they don't just have intellect. With book smart, they have street intellect. They know what the deal is. And you got to be real with your kids. You got to be aware, and you have to be knowledgeable to know. You can't just be knowledgeable in the content. You have to be emotionally knowledgeable.
You're so right. I know with working with some students, they will talk amongst each other, and you hear them say, Mrs. Such and such, she's awesome, but such and such, they don't like black, or they're prejudiced. Kids are not stupid. Like people, they try to make it seem like our kids don't know anything. They're very intelligent. They're very smart, and they're very aware, and they know who likes them and who does not. There was this one student, which the teacher, she was a science teacher. She was awesome. She taught ninth grade science, and she was one of the best. But she could not break this one student. She was a young black girl. I don't know if I broke her, but the story I'm going to tell you, I don't know if I broke her, but I helped. and she just was every day she wouldn't talk. She was non-compliant. She just had her head down. She just wouldn't open up ever. So I said, come here. I said, come on, let's go. We went to this little bitty room. And I just talked to her, and I just said, talk to me. And she still wouldn't talk to me. I said, listen. I said, let me tell you something. I said, everybody has some kind of story to tell. Everybody does. And I told her my story. And did I tell you my story?
Yes, you shared your story with me, yeah. Okay,
yeah, I told her my story. I said, look me up. I said, I got on white and black stripes. I'm going to jail. Like, I was devastated, and I was like, so look at that. I said, so don't ever think that your life, yes, we all go through things, and we live and we learn from those things, and we try to persevere from those things. This is, like you said, this is life. And then it was so funny. So I told her the whole spiel and everything. The very next day, she ran up to me. She's like, Miss Williams, I don't know. She ran up to me and she was like, Miss Williams, I saw you. My mom know about you. But it was good because it now we at another level. Because I let her know, hey, just because I'm sitting here don't mean that I'm indestructible. Things happen to everybody.
Yes, absolutely. And it's about how you respond. It's about life. Like Mike Tyson always said, everyone has a plan until they get punched in the mouth.
Yep.
Life has a way of having one mighty blow at times. It gives you blow after blow after blow. And there are moments when you get knocked down and you get knocked out. Yeah. However, you always get the opportunity to get back up again and to go after it. And your story is nothing more than just a testament of perseverance and discipline and commitment, right? To knowing that you could have easily decided, like, I just can't, I'm just over this, I don't have anything else to do. But instead here you are years later, continuing to make a difference, continuing to bring awareness, continuing to influence policy, continuing to connect with educators, using your voice, using your platform to continue doing the work, working with your family. Like, these are the things that actually says, how are we gonna not just make an impact, but what legacy are we leaving behind?
Absolutely.
When you're a teacher, you really have to be aware that your students are going to be part of your legacy.
Yes, absolutely.
What will your legacy say about you when you're no longer here?
Absolutely. Yeah, I know. There were 2 teachers that ever meant anything to me, and I was in junior high. So the high school teachers, I still remember their names vaguely, some of them, but it's not something that I remember. My middle school teachers, 2 of them, profoundly. One pulled me to the side and she just told me how I know you can do better. You're great. Now, mind you, I had just came from recess. I was sweaty, smelling everything. I'm running through the halls. I'm going to my next class.
Yeah.
And she pulled me over and she was like, Kelly, I have to talk to you. And she was this little old tall Russian white woman. I don't know. But I was like, what's up? You know, because I'm ready to go to the next class. I wasn't even going to her class. I was like, what you doing? What? She was like, I see greatness. I see potential in you. You need to focus and I know you can do it. She was the one that made me start doing better and being more serious about my academics. To this day, I still remember her versus some of my high school teachers.
Right.
But I want to ask you, what was it, when was it, or what was it that made you say, I now want to be a teacher?
Wow. That's a great question. And I don't think there was ever a moment when it was just one clear moment. I think it was a period of time. At one point, I wanted to become a law enforcement officer. I wanted to go into the NYPD, was prepared to go into it. And what really led me into teaching was my time working for a nonprofit called Young Life. Young Life is a Christian organization. I'm under it's no secret that I am a Christian. And I'm also a minister as well of the gospel.
Okay. Awesome.
Being part of Young Life, I did a lot of inner city work, community development work, which also was coupled with my Master's of Divinity that I received in 2018, a focus in urban and community development. And so I did these particular I did these classes and I worked with this organization, and it led me to go into working with youth and working with my community and building connections. And I was like, wow, this is great. This is actually fun. It was something that I knew that I enjoyed, even if I spent hours doing it, even if I spent hours planning, it didn't feel like work. It felt rewarding. And so opportunity presented itself for me to go into teaching, and I jumped on it. And before I knew it, I was now an 8th grade writing teacher.
Wow.
And ultimately my goal is to become a college professor.
Okay.
And so teaching English, but teaching also sociology and criminal justice. Those are other areas that I studied as well. So I'm really excited about education, and I'm really excited and passionate about learning. So that's what led me to go into teaching, because I was so passionate about learning. I was also passionate about kids, and I was also passionate about character and emotional development. That I knew that where else could I be able to have all of these passions on a consistent basis at one location?
And a big influencer, yes.
Yeah.
What if you had anything for our youth and our youth that tunes in and watch this, what words of of encouragement, what words would you tell them that's trying to find their way?
So how would I would encourage them to, this, and because it's so many areas I can go with this. I would encourage them to become aware of who they are, and to become aware of who they are, who they authentically are from within themselves, and not be boxed into what society says they should do or who society says they should be, but come and be authentic with who they actually are within themselves. And to also begin to trust some of the people that are in their lives that are teachers, and to know and to trust themselves, because they know who they can trust and they know who they don't connect with.
Right.
And to know that you are in a space right now where you could really begin to learn and cultivate the life that you desire. Is it going to be easy? Absolutely not. So that's one thing I will let them know. This road is not easy. Life is not easy, right? My grandma used to say this: people going to keep on peopling, keep on lifing, and you're going to have to keep on going.
Yeah. Oh, I like that. And
so people going to do what they do, life going to do what it do, but you going to have to learn how to adjust and adapt and navigate it. Sometimes life is the greatest coach you can have.
Yeah.
You begin learning from it. learning from the mistakes, learning from other people's falls and pitfalls, you'll really gain a lot out of this, right? And you can be advanced better than I was. By the time I'm at the age I'm 30 years old. And so my goal is that by the things that I've accomplished by the age of 30, I want my nephew to accomplish that by the age 21.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
If I have a car, if I have my degrees, if I have these things, I want him to also get them, but I want him to be debt free.
Right. Yes.
See, so these are we should always be building on who, like the next generation should always be building on what
Yes.
the generation did. And
Yes.
that's the thing that I think I wish our youth would know. You have the ability to build so much and so much. And all of the major movements that we've seen in our country's history, especially when it comes to fighting against injustice, were not led by people who were 40, 50, 67 years old. They were led by people like Dr. King, who was 25 when he was thrust to the leadership role, the civil rights movement.
Yes.
People like John Lewis, who was only 23 years old when he spoke at the March on Washington. But by 6-7 years worth of work. And so you really have a voice. You really have potential. You really have a platform that you can use, and you just got to be aware of it and go after it. And don't let people stop you. Don't let people. I can't imagine how many times I've seen children have wild faith and wild vision, and adults who themselves live in fear will discourage those children from pursuing that desire because it's not practical or it's not realistic.
Right.
Life is supposed to be realistic.
No, it's not.
Sometimes you're supposed to dream out of the box. And
yes. Who was that? Was it Jay? I might be wrong, but I think Jay-Z said his uncle had listened to his music and laughed at him and said, like it was a joke. Yeah. And he never forgot that. But he didn't let that deter him, but he never forgot that. Now look at him.
Yeah.
See? Yeah.
And that's the beautiful thing. You have to, this is what I say as an educator, but also parents who are listening, man, you'll be surprised at how gifted and talented your kids can be. Or how gifted and talented they are. Often they get boxed into, you gotta be a lawyer, a doctor, a teacher, a police officer or nurse, whatever. They get boxed into these ideas of professions, but then there's so many other things out there. Yes. And I'm an advocate for kids learning how to code. I'm a huge advocate about that, especially young Black kids. They need to learn how to code. They play these video games all day. Trust me, they can. Man,
that is what if you know anyone who knows how to code, I want them on too, because I want to talk to them, because I feel I have been, that's crazy you just said that, because I've really been looking for coders, like legitimate coders. I guess I've been running across people that's not legit. They've been taking like parents' money. So you have to be careful. That's one thing too. You have to be careful who you're, when you see these sponsors or these advertisements on social media, you have to be careful when they're saying we can code your kids. Well, what they're doing is they're taking a lot of the parents' money. And so if you know anyone that's coding or into it, please send them my way. I'd love to be able to talk to them, and we can maybe I can send a whole bunch of kids his way, and parents and stuff that can connect with them.
I have an organization that I know, good friends of mine. Actually, my school has a coding program, which is really cool. So 6th, 7th, and 8th grade students learn coding as one of their either music or coding that they get to learn. And it's beautiful being able to teach closing that idea of the digital divide, where you have in the coding industry, you have or the tech world, you have literally like 2 to 3% of the job force right now are black people, and that's an issue. That's an injustice, because that right there is the new great frontier of where jobs are going to be at and the decisions are going to be made at in our world. Yeah. And yet you have so many Black kids who are not even involved in being created or learning how to be coders.
That just burns me up because it's all by design. It just really makes me mad because it's like you just doing it so it can mess up our future. And it's just, but no, but yeah, so I definitely want them. And I also, because I know I'm looking at the time, I want to make sure I get the name. You have a nonprofit organization. Yes. Tell them the name of it again.
It's called Educators for Justice.
Educators for Justice. Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
Incorporated. You can find us on Instagram at Educators for Justice. Is just Educators for FOR Justice. Educators for Justice. And you can also find us on our new website that we just launched, educatorsforjustice.org. That's educatorsforjustice.org. We are an organization of about, we're made up of about 13 educators who are passionate, who are committed into making sure that educational environments are inclusive, that they are safe, that we are making sure to continue to build a community between educators, between parents, and between children as well. All three of us, those entities make up a strong educational platform.
Wow.
If you ever have moments where the parents and the educators are talking, but the children are left out of decision making, that's injustice, right? That's a failing happening. If you have the teachers and the children talking and communicating, but the parents aren't involved, that as well is also an injustice, right? And those are the things that we're trying to bridge the gap with, to ensure that everyone, no matter who you are, you have a safe, inclusive, and powerful learning environment, because education is power, man.
It's power. And we don't, a lot of times I think as parents, you don't know, I know I did not know my rights. I didn't know I had rights. Like I didn't really understand that. And that's where I fell so short at, and I fell short with my kids,
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know I had rights. And there's so many other parents that don't, they don't understand that. All you do is you have children, you raise them, you take them to school, you think that's it, but it's so much more, it's so much more. Yeah. But also before we go on, I must say this, since you are a nonprofit, which it would not matter if you were a profit or not. I mean, if you weren't nonprofit, if you were just a mom or dad, and you had pods, because right now we're doing a lot of homeschooling. Mm-hmm. So if you had pods at home, what they're doing, the National Parents Union they have grants. I don't know if I told you about this or not, but they have grants, and they just did a $250,000 grant. They just gave that away to moms and dads and parents and people that had home daycare centers that were trying to make pods for their a pod space for their rooms to bring kids in, because we're teaching from home. So now I understand is they're getting ready to have another. I don't know if it's 250. I don't know exactly, but it's a big number. Might be more than $250,000. The least is going to be is $250,000. Okay. But anyway, that is also something. So if you have parents that's listening and they're creating these pods at home, and they still need more materials, they still need whatever it is that they need. Now, mind you, you don't have to. This is being dispersed, so it's not like you can say, "Well, look, I only need $200." Right. So you would. Stay at, and that's another thing. Okay. I'm trying to cram this all in because it's getting late. Okay. Just one thing is that if you're watching, become a member. It's free. Become a member of the National Parents Union, so you can stay up on what's going on. Yes. You can stay up on all the things that they're doing. Because I'm telling you, man, National Parents Union, they are going above and beyond, helping so many people, parents, teachers, guardians, instructors, just people that are really engaged and involved with our children. They are very focused on helping them. That's why they're getting this funding and this money. This is through Walmart. Like, they are funding, they are really helping them. And so I just wanted to say that real quick to get that out there, to let people know to sign up, become a member. Just go to nationalparentsunion.org. It's on the right-hand side. It's for free, and sign up and tell them Kelly sent you. And which, I mean, I don't get any kudos. I don't get anything from them. Just saying, just tell them Kelly sent you if you need somebody to say who sent you. And be a part of something great, because if you're a mom and dad and you need extra funding, you might need 10 grand. You might need 25,000. You might need 500. But whatever it is, they got it. So get involved and get engaged.
Absolutely.
Before we go, I wanted to ask you. I want to make sure I asked you everything. I was going to ask you, how old were you?
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
you went on and said it. But I do want to talk about voting, because today was registered. We were supposed to. I hope.
I've been telling my friends. I've been like, y'all need to make sure you're registered to vote. And I know people who are saying I'm just not voting. They're abstaining from the system. And the idea of a protest vote. However, I think the time that we're in right now, too much is at stake.
No, you cannot hold your vote hostage. Don't do that.
We are in a space where the stakes are extremely high, and we have to be aware of what's going on. And so I tell everyone, I can't tell you who to vote for, but I can tell you to vote to ensure that our lives, right, and the way of life, the life that you desire, is upheld, right, and what you know to be right, and what you know to be justice is at stake. And we're not just voting for the president. You're voting for potential Supreme Court nominations. You're voting for the Senate. You're voting for Congress. You're voting for also your Secretary of Education. And we're saying we want justice for Breonna Taylor. We know this, that the Attorney General of the United States, at this point, the federal government is the only one who can now go in to prosecute the police officers because of for killing Breonna Taylor, or excuse me, not even killing, murdering Breonna Taylor, right? And so we know this: if there isn't a new Attorney General, then we won't be seeing justice for Breonna Taylor at all.
That's right.
And so that's the reality of it. That so much is at stake, and please get out, vote, make your voices heard. And I've said this before. If you want to make it real, if you really want to be about change, and you're saying I'm tired of voting for people, I'm tired of calling my local politician, then get out and run for yourself. Don't be afraid to do it. Don't be.
That's right. And we also have something too on National Parents Union on the .org, is the Every Family Votes. So check that out. Go there, see what it's about. Get involved and get engaged with that as well. It's called Every Family Votes. And I was looking at, T.I., the rapper, and he was mentioning holding, and I think that's what made people say, I'm just not going to vote, because they don't understand how influential they are.
Mm-hmm.
And he started mentioning that he was holding his vote hostage. Like, don't, what? And then now, like you said, now you got people saying, well, I'm just not, what?
Yeah.
Man, people really, truly are people. And a lot of white people there too, really, truly died for us to have that opportunity and that right to vote. Yeah. It should be your passion when it's time. We should be the first ones at the poll. We should be the first ones. Okay, what's going on? Who's coming? Who's going to at the lower levels, all the way up to the White House? We should be trying to figure this out. We should never, ever, ever have a situation that we are living in right now ever again. We are in 2020, and we need everybody that's been registered. We need everybody who's been registered to make sure that they execute that and write on the ballot. I know, like you said, we can't tell nobody who to vote for, but what I do know is I just can't believe that in 2020 we are saying that we need change. It's not change to move on. I'm talking change from stuff that's been going on since forever, since we left the shores of Africa. You see, that's deep. That's penetrating. That's disgusting. Yeah,
and we got a lot of work to do. I think it's as a parent, but also as an educator in a dual role. We have some responsibility to take and to make sure that our kids are really, really cared for and also aware of what's happening.
Right. Absolutely. So, okay. Let me just say,
my lighting is went out, so I hope I'm not too.
I saw that. I'm like, okay, what's good? But it's okay. Our time is up. I'm just so happy, Tyree Lane. Thank
you so much. I really appreciate you.
I want you back on. Please don't forget about me. Make sure you let the people know that's over coding. I really would love to talk to them very, very soon. God bless you. Keep you well and healthy.
Absolutely.
Stay safe. And we're going to talk again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All
I
right.
can't wait.
And thank you all for coming in, watching the National Parents Union, watching me, Kelly Williams Bollard, with the Parent Effect. I will see y'all again.
Okay, you're out.